Please send in your Bibles to Proverbs chapter 5. Proverbs chapter 5. I'm going to warn you up front that this is a passage of Scripture that might make some of you blush a little bit. It may be a bit awkward to talk through with your children. My children actually wanted to skip the service when I told them what it was about. Okay, but I promise it's all here in the Bible, and I'm going to do my best to keep it PG and be careful and not more vivid than necessary. Okay? Proverbs chapter 5 starts off like this. My son, be attentive to my wisdom. Incline your ear to my understanding, that you may keep discretion, and your lips may guard knowledge. Now, much of the book of Proverbs is addressed like this, from the position of a father pleading with his son to make wise choices in life. Please, from my life experience, let me share with you. From having lived life a bit longer, let me plead with you. Make wise choices. Avoid approaches to life and ways of living that are not going to go well for you. Choose instead outlooks on life and ways of living that will go well for you. Father's pleading with his son. And most of us here today may not be children or teenagers, but we would all be wise to heed the instruction of this book, because this is God pleading with us. There are ways that life can go well for you. There are ways, approaches to life, outlooks on life that will not go well for you. Please, hear my wisdom, God's wisdom, and choose what is wise and what will be a blessing to you, and honoring to God, and a blessing to others. And in this chapter, the specific area that Solomon wants his son to be wise about is the area of sexual desire. He warns him in verse 3. Okay, pleads with him, listen to my wisdom. Why? Because, verse 3, for the lips of a forbidden woman drip honey, and her speech is smoother than oil. See, the reality, friends, is that sexual sin can seem so enticing. A flirtatious woman can strike you as so beautiful, and her flattering or seductive speech can seem so smooth and alluring. Her lips can seem to drip with honey. Quite a picture, isn't it? And the example unpacked here is of a young man enticed by a woman who's not his wife. But please, everyone here, the warning applies to the allure of all sexual sin, for young and older, for men and women. Sexual sin can be enticing to us all. It can draw you in and look so sweet. It can promise so much. It can seem to offer nothing but pleasure. But, verse 4, but in the end, her lips may drip with honey, her speech may be as smooth as oil, but in the end, she is bitter as wormwood and sharp as a two-edged sword. What you thought was sweet turns out to be very bitter. What you thought was smooth is actually sharp and cutting. And when you start down the road of sexual sin, where does that road lead? Verse 5, her feet go down to death. Her steps follow the path to Sheol, which is the Hebrew term for the grave. Be warned. right? That's how this proverb starts out, this section of Proverbs, this chapter of Proverbs. Be warned, sin lies to you. It can seem very enticing, but it leads to destruction. As this chapter moves on, from verse 9 onwards, the road that you find yourself on as you pursue sexual temptation is described. He's calling his son not to go down that road, lest, verse 9, you give your honor to others and your years to the merciless, lest strangers take their fill of your strength and your labors go to the house of a foreigner. And at the end of your life you groan when your flesh and body are consumed, and you say, how I hated discipline. My heart despised reproof. I did not listen to the voice of my teachers or incline my ear to my instructors. I am at the brink of utter ruin in the assembled congregation. Now here's the picture. We're looking far down the road. And where has this all led? When we start down this road, we begin to give more and more of our time and energies to this as we go. And instead of investing our attention, our efforts, our resources into one unique relationship, into marriage, as God intended, we find ourselves running here and running there, spending money on flowers for this one, and a nice meal for that one, transport money to go and see another one. Verse 10 describes these shallow relationships as being with strangers and foreigners. The idea there is someone you don't really know. That's the point. It's like you're investing all this time and energy, but it's all superficial and shallow. It doesn't last. You hardly know this person, and then you're on to the next. And on top of all your attention and efforts being scattered instead of focused, this type of life also normally comes with extensive efforts to cover up and deceive and hide what you are doing. This one can't know about that one. That one's husband or wife can't know about you. This pornography addiction you are pouring more and more and more time into can't be found out. And I'm sure at this point, at least some of you might be thinking, but that's not me. I'm not there. I'm not there. I haven't gone that far, and I'm not going to let things get that far. This isn't going to consume me. This isn't going to control my life. I've got this. I've got this. I'm managing this. But as one author puts it, if that's how you're thinking, you're missing the entire point of Proverbs 5. Through his word here, God is warning you to stay away from sexual sin because of the devastating consequences it brings. When you turn to sexual sin, you lose the freedom and opportunity to determine the consequences. When you turn to sexual sin, you lose the freedom and opportunity to determine the consequences. When you tell yourself, I'm only going to take this far and then I'll stop, you're playing with fire. You're fooling yourself. Friends, think about this. I doubt anybody starts off down this road and says, I want to have children with 3 different women in 3 different provinces. I want to be a woman who has a reputation in my community. A certain type of reputation. I want to be the guy who sneaks out of bed at 2 a.m. so I can spend an hour secretly looking at pornography on my phone in the bathroom. I want to be the woman who's getting pressured into having an abortion because the father of the child doesn't care for the child or for me. I want to be the man who breaks my children's hearts because I drove their mother away with my never-ending lying and cheating. Who starts off down this road saying, I want that? Nobody. The warning of this passage is, don't fool yourself. This is dangerous. It's destructive. Don't fool yourself. Nobody says these things are my goal. Proverbs warns us. Sexual sin can look so good, so promising, so enticing, but it takes you places you don't want to go. In the end, it is bitter, it cuts, it destroys, it kills. So, in light of that warning, stay away from sexual temptation. Stay away from sexual temptation. Proverbs 5 verse 7. And now, O sons, listen to me. Listen to me. Do not depart from the words of my mouth. Keep your way far from her. Far from her. And do not go near the door of her house. Don't give yourself opportunity to sin. Don't place yourself in the way of temptation. Don't play with fire and tell yourself, I'm just going to her door. I'm not going inside. We're just going to enjoy some flirtatious banter. It's going to feel good. I'm going to enjoy the attention, but I'm not going inside. Keep away from her. Do not even go near the door of her house. Remember, we talked about this principle of radical amputation last week from Matthew 5. If your right eye causes you to sin, this is Matthew 5, verse 29. If your right eye causes you to sin, tear it out, throw it away. For it is better that you lose one of your members than that your whole body be thrown into hell. And if your right hand causes you to sin, cut it off, throw it away. For it is better that you lose one of your members than your whole body go into hell. Recognize the danger. Take radical measures to avoid temptation and remove the opportunity to sin. Don't take chances. Make sure. Friends, if you're the only person in your office who isn't watching a certain series on TV with all sorts of sexual content in it, and people make fun of you and you feel so out of the loop, that's okay. It's okay. If people consider you weird for avoiding this flirtatious coworker instead of soaking up the attention, it's okay. If you've been struggling with pornography and you need to get rid of your Wi-Fi and use a phone without internet capabilities for a few months, give yourself a chance to get the hooks of sin out of your heart. Give yourself a chance to grow in your love for Jesus and joy and satisfaction in Him. Do it. I know that complicates life. I know people will think it's strange when they can't WhatsApp you or whatever. Do it. If your dating relationship gets more complicated and quite likely also more expensive because you only spend time alone in public spaces, but that's what you need to do to remove temptation, remove opportunity for sin? Well, here we are again. At McDonald's, I don't really even like coffee, but here we are, right? Do it. Be sure. These things take effort, they cost. Just like losing a hand or eye, right? It costs a lot. But it's worth it. It's worth it. Avoid or remove opportunities for temptation, and avoid or remove opportunities to sin. Don't even go near sin's door. Now, we also talked last week about the fact that these external measures will not ultimately be enough on their own. Why? Because your heart is still in your chest, desiring what it's desiring. Okay? We need to not just keep ourselves from throwing more fuel on the fire of sinful desires, we also need to address the sinful desires themselves. We need to address our hearts. In the next chapter, chapter 6, next chapter here of Proverbs chapter 6, verse 25, there's this plea. Do not desire her beauty in your heart, and do not let her capture you with her eyelashes. Okay. You've taken the measure now to not even go near her door. That's great. You're going to keep your distance. That's good. But friends, if you keep replaying the video in your mind of how beautiful she is, and her long eyelashes that she flutters at you as she talks flirtatiously and charms you, those long eyelashes are going to come out and grab you. That's the image. Do not let her capture you with her eyelashes. Do not desire her beauty in your heart. Even if you're keeping your distance from her, if you keep replaying that video in your mind, your heart is being drawn towards her, drawn away from God, away from His ways, towards her. You're making it harder and harder for you to say no to temptation, because you've been feeding the coals of the fire, and now instead of just a few hot coals, you have a big burning fire. Bigger, stronger, hotter. Rapidly getting out of control. Okay. So here's where we've come so far. We recognize the lie of sin. It looks enticing. It looks pleasurable. But it's destructive. It's a fishhook, right? With a lure on it. If you're a fish, and we're fish, we're sinners, it looks delicious. But beneath that bait is a sharp, very hooked barb that will ensnare us and drag us to our death. Recognize that. Be warned. Next, we've seen the need to totally avoid the bait. Stay away from it. Don't give yourself opportunity to take the bait. Don't allow yourself to get enticed by it. Don't allow yourself to think about it and desire it. Now we look at a very important third step, which is to renew your mind, to remind yourself, to remind your heart of God's good design, to believe that God's ways are better, to meditate on the goodness of His ways, and to seek your joy in His ways, which, in the case of sexuality, means enjoying the goodness of God's design in exclusive, committed, lifelong marriage. Okay? Now, I'll say a few words in a bit for those of you who are single. Okay? But for now, let me speak to those who are married. In Proverbs 5:15, this is how we are exhorted. Drink water from your own cistern, flowing water from your own well. Should your springs be scattered abroad, streams of water in the streets? Let them be for yourself alone, and not for strangers with you. See, the first argument here, friends, in contrast to pursuing sexual sin, is appreciating and guarding the special uniqueness and exclusivity of the marriage relationship. Where are you going to drink? Where are you going to drink? Drink from your own cistern. Yours, uniquely yours, exclusively yours, private. Drink from your own well. Why drink from water in the gutters of the dirty street with all sorts of random people, just passerbys, coming along and drinking from the same puddles, the same water flowing in the gutters? Shallow and dirty and there for everyone. Why do that when you can enjoy the clean, pure water from a well that is yours and yours alone? See, wrapped up in this, in the beauty of this, is God's design for marriage itself, right? Exclusive, committed, unique, special. The second argument is for enjoying the specialness of a lifelong commitment. Verse 18 says this: let your fountain be blessed, and rejoice in the wife of your youth. Men, let that be true of you when you've been married for 30 and 40 and 50 years. That you're rejoicing in the wife of your youth. This fountain is yours and only yours, and it has been only yours for years. And sure, it's aging, and so are you. But there's a history there. Shared life together. Joys and sorrows. Bearing each other's burdens. Laboring together. Enjoying blessings together. Grieving together. And not only is that history, there's also that commitment to continue sharing life together. And for all the highs and lows that the future may hold in a unique and special way. Until death does you part. This is your well. This is the only place you're going to drink. Friends, you will have good friendships in life. People you appreciate and who are a blessing to you. Family, it's a blessing to you. But marriage is one of a kind. When we were engaged, Heather and I, my wife and I, talked about the call God has on our lives as Christians to be people who love others and to love others deeply. Love our brothers and sisters in Christ fervently. And yet, at the same time, marriage goes over and beyond that and is a commitment to love each other in an utterly unique and special way. And so we put this into our marriage vows, and we still say to each other often, I love you like I love no one else. I love you like I love no one else. The third argument here in Proverbs is for enjoying the goodness of a sexual relationship within marriage. Friends, God is not anti-sex. He's not anti-sex. He's very much in favor of sex. He made it. He gifted it to us. He wants us to enjoy it. But sex is for marriage. Sex is for marriage. And it's only a good thing within marriage. Within marriage, within this unique, special, exclusive, committed for the long haul, no matter what, within that relationship between one man and one woman for life, sex is a very, very, very good thing, and we are encouraged to enjoy it. Verse 19 tells us that husbands and wives should delight themselves in one another and regularly enjoy their sexual relationship in marriage. Verse 19b exhorts husbands, be intoxicated always in her love. That's quite a picture, isn't it? Intoxicated, drunk. And the Bible forbids drunkenness from alcohol. But in regards to enjoying the sexual relationship within marriage, God doesn't talk about moderation. God says, go for it. Love it. Be drunk with it. This is a good thing in marriage. Drink from your own well and delight yourself in it. Enjoy it. And that's the third step in how we fight against sexual sin. We see the lie of sexual sin and the reality that though it looks sweet and appealing, it's actually dangerous and destructive. We don't play around with temptation. We avoid and turn away from temptation. We don't give ourselves opportunity to sin. And then thirdly, we remind ourselves that God's design, God's ways are better. And we meditate on God's ways, right? Remember, that means engaging our minds, thinking about it, enjoying it, savoring it. And we appreciate it and pursue our joy in it. Okay? This looks good, but it's actually dangerous. Avoid it. And now what do? Go this way. Pursue God's ways. Pursue God's ways. Friends, the best way to stop thinking about one thing is not to tell yourself endlessly that you need to stop thinking about that one thing. Right? Because in thinking about how I need to stop thinking about this, I'm thinking about this. I recognize not to think about this, and then I stop thinking about it. Done. And now what do? I throw myself this way. I think about what I should be thinking about as much as I can. And I pursue the joy in it that I'm supposed to get from it. Because, friends, God's ways are better. He's not a killjoy. The things He's calling you to are better. Okay. I promised I would address those of us who are single. So let's think about that now. How is this third step, this step about turning and putting on and thinking about what God's design actually is for us, in this case with the area of sexuality, thinking about the goodness of marriage, pursuing joy in God's design for marriage. How are you supposed to do that if you're single? First of all, see marriage for the gift it is. See the goodness of it. And appropriately aim for it. Okay? Now again, I'll say a few words in a bit. I realize it's complicated and different people are in different situations. But see marriage for the gift it is and appropriately aim for it. Friends, see marriage as God's design for romance and sexuality. Realize it is the only outlet created by God for romance and sexuality. Okay? Don't look for expressions of romance and sexuality outside of marriage. Anytime you're tempted towards looking for fulfillment in these areas outside of marriage, remind yourself that God's good design for these things is within marriage and only within marriage. Outside of marriage, outside of God's design, it's no longer the same thing. It's a recipe, right? It's a recipe for heartache. It's a recipe for getting caught up in things that you should not get caught up in. Marriage is God's design. A friend of mine said to me once, I haven't been looking for a girlfriend. I've been looking for a wife. Okay? And here's the thing. He wasn't saying, and I'm not saying, that singles should get married without getting to know each other first. Okay? I'm not saying, okay, single guys line up here, single ladies line up here. Okay. Your number's one, your number's one. Okay. I'm not saying that. Okay. But the point is this. What is dating or courting or whatever you want to call it? What's it for? What's it for? It's for finding a spouse. Okay? It's not a game. It's not for butterflies in your stomach. It's not for going out on nice dates and yeah, I know Valentine's was just recently, right? Okay. It's not for all of that. It's for finding a spouse. Okay? That dating and courtship is not for romance and sexuality. It is for finding the person you will marry. And marriage is for romance and sexuality. Okay? So, if you are a long way away from being married, look ahead to being married. See it as the special relationship that it is. Anticipate it. And be patient. Okay? And be patient. Now, on the other hand, some of you are perhaps not seeing marriage as being as good as it is. You're not really hoping for it. You're not looking for it. You're putting it off for some time in the future. Even sometime quite far in the future. The narrative in the world today is enjoy your freedom. Enjoy your freedom. Take time. Get in all these life experiences. You can get married in your 30s later. Okay? And now look, of course, there's a lot to think about very carefully. The last thing I'm saying is that singles should be reckless with this and just pair up and rush ahead. But friends, if you need to hear me say that marriage according to God's design is a wonderful thing, it's the best blessing there is in this life apart from knowing Christ. If you want to hear me say that it is a great thing to get going with, to start enjoying, to be blessed by as soon as possible, as soon as you can do so wisely and responsibly, hear me say it. Marriage is good. It's good. Contrary to what the world may tell you, Marriage is not being tied down. It's focused, it's exclusive, it's committed, but it is wonderful. It is a good, good thing. Now again, I know there are many factors to think through, and there's a wide spectrum of life circumstances here. Okay? Some of you are still young. Some of you have been married. Some of you have children. Some of you are in a later season in life. I know there's a lot to think through. Okay? And I'm not trying to oversimplify it, but in general, marriage is God's good design, and in general, it's His good design for you, in general. Okay? Your pastors are here, Pastor Untitled, myself, Pastor Dumi, happy to talk, very, very happy to talk. That's why we're here. Okay? Now, I know not everyone will get married, right? Some of you are like, Pastor D, I get it. I want to be married. I'm praying for marriage. I would love to be married. It's just not coming together. Now, let me start by urging you, first of all, to trust God's loving, fatherly care. We don't always understand why His plan for our lives, His plan for our specific life, is going this way or that. Okay? But we can and should trust His love for us. As Romans 8 puts it, He who did not spare His own Son, but gave Him up for us, how will He not also with Him graciously give us all things? Here's the reasoning of that. Here's the logic. We know He loves us. We know. We've got the most undeniable proof because He gave us what was most precious to Him. So let's trust that anything that might seem to us like evidence that maybe He doesn't love us or no longer loves us or doesn't care, it can't be that. I know He loves me. I know He loves me. He's proven it undeniably. So let me trust Him. Right? His ways are higher than ours. His thoughts are higher than ours. There's going to be many times where we can't quite piece together why this is better for us, but we can trust that it is better for us because He loves us, He's wise, and He rules over every detail of everything. Okay, lastly, I'd say this. Lust is inherently self-centered and greedy. Okay? Lust is inherently self-centered and greedy. God's plan for marriage is not. God's plan for marriage is basically pour yourself into the good of this person. And God's plan for the Christian life is similar. Right? Instead of self-centered and greedy, it is God-centered, loving, and generous. So even if you aren't married, even if you never will be married, you can still renew your mind and seek to pursue your joy in God's better design. No, I'm not going to live for this lustful thrill. I'm not going to live for this fling and just have some fun here and have some fun there and run here and run there after this pleasure and that pleasure. No, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pursue my joy in God's better design. I'm going to live my life for His glory, and I'm going to live my life to be the greatest blessing I can be to others. It's still very much not that. I'm not pursuing my joy there. I'm pursuing my joy in God's better design. When I was a part of a church in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, There's a young lady there. Well, I guess she's a bit older than me. That's not young anymore, is it? Yeah. Anyway, she was single. So then, yeah, she would have been in her early 30s, and I trust, would have loved to have been married. But this lady, man, she poured herself out into the church. We didn't even really know her that well, but she was the first person to visit us in the hospital when Heather gave birth to Leah. She was always the first person putting up her hand for helping to plan and organize marriage showers and baby showers, and she would pour herself out. She was on the audiovisual team at church. She was always there early. She was there after the service. She was greeting people warmly. She got this, right? She got this. Yeah, she has to trust God with, okay, I'm single and I would love to be married, but I'm not going to go look for joy there. I'm going to look for joy in God's ways, in pouring myself out for His glory and the blessing of others. And the other piece that came with that, right, is that the church is family, right? It's family. And so, certainly I saw with her, she had wonderful, close relationships within the church. She still had a family to gather with for Christmas and so on and so forth. She still had many of those relational, familial blessings of marriage. God was taking care of her. God was blessing her. His ways are better than the lies of sin. Now, friends, what if you're sitting here today and you've already blown it? Right? You're listening to this and you're like, man, I've gone after this destructive, forbidden woman. And I've gone a lot further than I ever intended to go. Where's it here? Verse 22. The iniquities of the wicked ensnare him, and he is held fast in the cords of his sin. It's this picture of getting entangled, tied up. You feel all wrapped up in this. How can I get out of this? Maybe you're feeling enslaved to sexual sin currently. Maybe you've got significant baggage in your life from sexual sin previously. Friends, remember God's grace, right? On the one hand, if you haven't already gone down this road, heed the warning, don't go down this road. But if you have already gone down this road, remember grace. Grace to be forgiven. Grace to be changed. To have these cords wrapped around you broken. True, lasting, genuine change is possible in Christ. You are a new creation. The Holy Spirit is with you, empowering you. God will continue the work He's begun in you. There is reason for hope. What about the mess? What about the brokenness? What about the heartache? What about the baggage? We said a couple weeks ago when we looked at Psalm 51, sin, it does bring consequences, often very significant ones. But friends, God gives grace. And He can bring beauty out of brokenness. He can. Okay? So go to Him. Go to Him. Go to Him for grace, for forgiveness, for change, for redemption. Go to Him for grace.